you are live.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Sabi Sands. Here we are sitting with my very first buffalo herd at Juma WildEarth 2016. This is exceptionally exciting. I haven't seen a group this large in so long. Have a look at this, everyone. I've been missing from the vehicle for a few days and I've been so excited to come out, and just as I leave camp we come across a huge breeding herd of buffalo. Wow, there are so many, and just before you guys came there was a big group of elephants that just came through now as well. They walked just next to the buffaloes and then continued south down towards Buyatela, towards the camp. And here we are with the buffalo herd, and as we know, the buffalo herds are a lot more different to that of just the single buffalo that sits inside the swallows. That's what wallows. That's where I've been most of the time, is driving along and seeing these old buffaloes that are eating and chewing on the grasses. But today we are sitting with the buffalo herds, which are a lot bigger in size than the bull that's sitting on his own. So here we are with the buffalo herd, and this buffalo herd will consist of many, many females and youngsters. And so this is the true buffalo, the way in which the buffalo begins and starts its life in the big herds, and how it experiences everything as a young buffalo all the way through till its adultcy. Wow. I hope everyone is doing well out there. It's been an incredible few days out in the bush, and to be sitting now with these buffaloes is just great. Wow. The sun will be starting to rise in the east, and I'm sure these buffaloes will get back up, and the red-billed oxpecker will come back, and hopefully a few of the yellow-billed, which is something I haven't seen yet. For all the bird lovers out there, I'm hoping that we can find a yellow-billed oxpecker for us to write in our book today. But it's a much cloudier morning. Yesterday was a lot brighter, but today is, as you can see, it's a lot cloudier than it was just yesterday. So it's a beautiful morning. Here we are in the Sabi Sands. I'm going to see if I can get a little bit closer to this breeding herd so we can talk a little bit more about, you know, how big it is. I mean, there must be over 100 here, something like that. So we're going to try and see if we can get in and have a look, and we can talk a little bit more about the breeding herds, and we can talk a little bit which ones are female, which ones are little youngsters, and we can get to know them a little bit better. On that note, we're going to quickly see what Brent's up to. We'll see you now.
Good morning and welcome to a chilly sunrise safari. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have Jean-Dre on camera, and we are sneaking down the southern boundary at snail's pace, checking for any sign of Queen Karula and her cubs. So far, no luck. Our plan is we're going to keep checking very slowly down here, making sure we don't miss any tracks. And if no luck, we're going to continue eastwards towards Cheetah Plains. But we're going to go very, very slowly for now. And very exciting how productive Cheetah Plains has been with those cheetah over the last little while. And of course, I know I got asked the first time I went there, are we going to see ostriches? And the answer was, of course, yes, and a wonderful flock of ostrich with Jamie yesterday. Did I spot something? Nope. Sometimes animals like leopard will come roll in a spot of hippo dung like this, where the hippo is defecated, so always worth double checking. Lions also often roll in hippo dung, but nothing has rolled in this hippo's dung today. While we continue to sneak down the southern edge of our traverse zone, let's go back to Sam, who's got 2 members of Africa's Big Five.
Elephants, everyone. We have elephants. Not only did we just see a buffalo herd, we are now seeing a breeding herd of elephants. Oh, it's a fantastic morning so far. We've already seen buffalo and ellies. Wow. As you can see, eating some of the foliage from the tree there. I spent the whole afternoon yesterday just sitting with ellies, and I'm just in love with the way in which they move, the way in which they collect food, and just their whole persona around just how they relaxed. It was just incredible to sit with them, and here we are again sitting with them in the morning, and I'm really excited to be back and actually sharing these moments again with everyone. I was missing the camera a little bit yesterday, but I was just getting myself back in order. My ear was a little bit sore because I think it must have been with the latex or something to do with the earpiece, but it's coming back. But on that note, I just wanted to say hello everyone again. I am Sam. I've just started at WildEarth. I'm from Cape Town, and this is a new experience for me to be behind the camera, to be a presenter. I'm very privileged to have Brian behind me. Hello, Brian.
Hello, Sam.
I've been very privileged to have people like Brian and Jean-Ray to help me behind the camera, get good shots. So I'm very lucky out here. Behind in the studio, we've got Jerry, and she's going to be helping direct and give the questions I need to answer you all. But on that note, I hope everyone has the most amazing morning this morning, and I'm sure we'll see some beautiful things, and let's just ride together, grow together, and see what we can see. Good morning, Kay. How are you doing? It's good to hear from you. Well, the question that was asked by Kay is, why does the elephant have such long, straggly hair at the back of its tail? That's a very, very good question. From what my understanding is that, I'm just going to turn this radio down quickly, Kay, just as we might get interrupted. There we go. I've now taken the sound off, and we can talk a little bit about the ellie. So we can't see the tail right now, and we can have a look at it just now when it comes back out into focus and view. But I definitely feel that it's something to do with the way in which other elephants step on their tail and start creating that fray. But it also acts like a little bit of a whip to get rid of the flies that are flying all over it, and to help it get rid of all those little parasites and those things that are annoying it during the day. So that would be my answer, Kay. Everything, that's what's so incredible about the bush, is that everything has its own unique design that helps to make it more efficient and to be able to survive out in this beautiful bushveld. So, wow, so we can just see the eddies just behind the foliage there. I'm always amazed. Ooh, did everyone see that? There's a saddle-billed stork. Oh, what a sighting. Sorry, guys. Saw that ellie just got a little bit angry with one of the birds that flew in. It was a saddle-billed stork, which was, cheapers, it's a beautiful bird. I'm going to quickly show you. I can't drive there at the moment, obviously, because the elephants are in the way. But that was, wow. I'll quickly try and explain to you what happened there. The saddle-billed stork just jumped into the road, and the ellie just ran and blew its trumpet at it. Not a very nice morning greeting, I must say myself, but hopefully that beautiful saddle-billed stork will come back and grace us with its beautiful presence again. Wow. I'm just going to have a look and see. So there's actually more elephants that I've just noticed one that's behind the foliage. On the left, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just in front of us. If you just go through, can you see it hiding in the bushes there? It's incredible how ellies can look, or you sometimes have to struggle to see them in this thick vegetation. But look, you've got some youngsters there. Some of them are probably only 3 to 5 years old. Wow, just going to get a picture of the stalk. Stalk. Okay. I'm just going to show you the bird, and after I've shown you the bird, I'll talk a little bit more about what's happened. So, top left corner, the saddle-billed stork. It's an extremely good-looking bird, if I do say so myself. You can see that prominent yellow on top there, and the red beak just at the end, and little red knees, which is quite cool. But what actually happened, I'll say it again, the saddle-billed stork just jumped into the middle of the road, and the ellie just pulled its trunk and said, "Get out of here." It was quite amusing to watch, actually. Yeah, so that's the saddle-billed stork. I'm going to creep a little bit closer. What's important is that we have to be mindful of elephants because they'll quite clearly show us when they're feeling uncomfortable. So I'm going to drift a little closer. Maybe we'll be able to see that saddle-billed stork. I'm really hoping so. Look at them all walk like that, it's so cool. All the bums. It's going to switch off and watch them walk down the road. Almost looks like they've just had a really great evening and they're just trotting back home wherever home is, which is everywhere. It's always great to watch the backside of any animal, just walking and strolling through the bushveld. Look how sweet, look how big they are, even when they're so young. From the sun, but also from parasites. So, okay, you were mentioning the tail. You can see the tail that's flacking over there. The frayed ends. And you'll see just with the trunk just going out and putting some sand all over its back. I'm always so amazed to see the size of elephants' ears, how big those ears are. Those ears they're almost like sails. But they provide such an important function for elephants as most of the vessels, the blood vessels are actually in their ears. So when they flap those ears like that, they are cooling their body down. So it's actually quite a cold, well, not cold, but it's relatively cold morning, so it's not so hot, but you'll see those ears starting to come out later in the day as they're trying to cool themselves off. So I'm thinking they'll probably carry on down this road for a little longer and carry on browsing and out in the foliage, and they'll probably move towards a watering hole where they can have something to drink a bit later. Oh, sweet. You can see that they've got quite a lot of mud. The one's already got quite a bit of mud on there. So they've obviously just come from some water. Cool, but they are big. If anyone knows and can tell the difference between a female and a male elephant, I would love to hear what you know as a difference. Please hashtag Safari Live. Ooh! Wow, that's so cool. It's not often you get to watch an ellie not on its feet, and we just watch one sitting down. next to Mama. As we know that with the breeding herds, it will be mostly consist of big females and youngsters, and at the back you'll often find the bull, the big male elephant. And that's very important for us to know that if you're walking in the bush, because ellies can be very dangerous on foot, and if you forget that there's a big bull at the back, you may be in some trouble. And often males will be in musk, which means that their hormones are going crazy, and their behavior changes slightly. And that is something as a guide we have to be very aware of, because they can get very angry. But most of the time, a female will be a lot more scary to meet on foot, because especially when it's with a youngster, you have to be very careful of a female, because she'll protect her youngster at all costs. And I have such a love for elephants, just purely from a book called The Elephant Whisperer, and it's just incredible. Good morning, Deanna. We are hearing all sorts of birds around us. The significant one that we can hear is the starling. You can hear the starling just to the right of us over here, and I can also hear some red-billed oxpeckers. So we were talking about how to be aware of the bush, to understand the elephants, to understand the buffalo, and the red-billed oxpeckers has a big relationship to play when walking in the bush, because it creates a sound that will tell you that there's a big mammal present. So we've got red-billed oxpeckers, we've got starlings, and I heard orange-breasted bush shrike earlier, and I'm hoping to see a black-headed oriole. But you can hear them, it almost sounds like they're laughing out there next to us. I think they're laughing at the saddle-billed stork that just flew away from the ellies. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can get a little closer. They're looking very relaxed with me at the moment, so you know what I'm really interested to watch? You can see that there's lots of dust coming off the one to the right of the screen. Let's have a little look and see how she or he is doing that. The breeding herd of buffaloes is just behind us, so we're not going to lose the breeding herd of buffaloes just yet. So we can sit and have just a few more moments with these ellies, because they've provided such joy already early in the morning for us. Let's see what this. Yes, Diane, that's exactly right. Female elephants have much more angular heads than males. So you'll notice on their forehead, if you can see just at the top there of that female elephant, you can see there's quite a significant angle to the female there. And the males almost have a little bit of a dome head. So that's great. Thank you so much, Diane. And you can also, of course, see that there's, if you look beneath the elephant, you can tell quite a lot about the elephant as well. If we just sit here in silence just for 20 seconds, I want you to see if you can hear the sound of the elephant as it moves and breaks the branches. So what I wanted to do there was just to see if we could hear the sound of the twigs breaking. Since we've been talking about safety in the bush, the sound of twigs breaking can often tell us that there is an elephant nearby. You'll just be walking. I mean, it's not a subtle sound, really. You hear half a tree coming down. I'm pretty sure you'll hear that in the bush. But it's still very important to take note. Yeah, we've got a youngster coming through. Look at the size of those. Oh, what? Oh, wow. Tusks. Beautiful. Megan on Twitter is asking a great question on why do elephants put sand on their backs, as we are seeing in front of us right now. From what I understand is that elephants will put sand on their backs in order to protect them from different elements, such as the sun, which can get very hot during the day. But also it helps them get rid of any kind of parasites or flies that might be irritating them on top of their bodies. But those are the two main facts that I understand. And I'm sure there's many more, and I'm very interested to find out if there are any other variables to why an elephant might be putting sand on the back. If you have an answer and you would like to comment, please hashtag Safari Live. We would love to hear your input, and we can learn together. Let's see. You get, oh, look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4 bums in a row. Well, on the other side as well. But now we can significantly see the different types of tails there, or the same type of tail, and how they're frayed at the end there. Wow. Nature's designs always seamlessly, I can't say that word properly. Nature's designs always amaze me, and how they, oh, can you see the youngster? Hey. What's incredible about little Ellies that makes me laugh? Oh wow, back down again. I think it's the same one that was. Whoa, whoa. let me just sit on top of you. Oh, that's hilarious. I wonder why this is happening. Oof, I don't think I've ever encountered just an elephant lying down. So this is great. I'm going to see if I can get a little bit closer so we can get a shot of the Ellie down on the floor. You know what it seems like? It seems like two youngsters that are just having some fun playing together. Yeah, there we go. Here we come. Are we back to the ground? My guess was a brother and a sister. And the sister was just taking a quick little lie down. And then the brother just came and sat it on her. If any of you guys have brothers or sisters out there, you'll know it's fun to just annoy the brother or sister. Oh, sweet. Let's see. So what you'll often find, over here we can see the bigger ones, they'll be wrapping their big, oh jeebus, I just forgotten, trunk, the trunk. It'll wrap its big trunk around a branch and rip the branch off, and it'll basically strip all the leaves off and eats all the leaves and gets its nutrients. So we'll be seeing that now if we look closely. There we go. I mean, just the designs of trunks is also incredible. They've actually, within biomimicry, they've learnt a lot from the trunk and how the trunk is actually, in robotics, they've learnt about how it moves and how it can actually collect things. And so that's fascinating to understand that. Look at the trunk. And it's so funny when you watch a youngster that doesn't really know how to use its trunk. Yes, it's great. It just flops around, moving its trunk left to right. You can quite significantly hear the sound. Ooh. I want to see if I can get a little bit closer, just so we can watch how this ellie in front of us is feeding. We're talking about how it collects the branch and then takes it. Ooh, wow. There, it just did it right now. There we go. Collect it from the top, puts it in its trunk, and pulls all the leaves off. Gets its morning breakfast. And you know, they eat all types of plants, even plants with big thorns on them. And reaching to the top. I must say, I want to have a much different breakfast from you, but they look like they're really enjoying their breakfast. No, they're not making me hungry, but... Catherine just made a comment on how you see elephants as placid and quite relaxed. Well, yes, it's also that they also play a lot. You know, you haven't really seen that before, and that's awesome. You know, when I first came for my interview here at WildEarth, I noticed how the hyenas were playing. They were young hyenas and they were playing in the water. And it just reminded me of how important it is to play, because animals, you know, learn so much just through playing, and it's a big part of their life, you know. So I said last time that it's really important for us to remember the aspect of play in our lives and how that, you know, brings us joy and how it allows us to learn and connect with each other. And so I think elephants and hyenas and all types of animals will display some sort of play to try and learn from each other and just enjoy each other's presence here in the bushveld. But this is a great sighting. So many ellies. One of my best memories of ellies is sitting with one of my best mates, his name is Michael Macmillan. He basically taught me the bush when I was a bit younger. He was a really, really good friend of mine. We lost him when I was around 22. And he was an amazing guy. He loved the bush so much, and he had such an appreciation for elephants. And he was a really, really good friend. And whenever I look at ellies, I think of him. And he once took me to this sighting where we went down to a watering hole, and we sat just like we're sitting now with the ellies. And he said, "Sam, you can see it's getting quite hot today. So let's go down to the watering hole and sit at the watering hole at the bird hide. And I think they might just come down and play in the water and get muddy, and it'll be fun to watch." And you know, next thing I knew, we were down there. And you know, it wasn't just myself and Michael. It was with my twin and a whole bunch of other friends. And he gave us one of the best experiences of my life, just watching ellies play in water and drink water. And exactly what Catherine pointed out a little bit earlier, that they were playing, and it was one of the best sightings I've ever seen. So hopefully we'll have moments like that together in the bush. It'll often be in the afternoon. I think in the afternoon when we find a breeding herd of elephants and we know there's a watering hole close by, let's take the vehicle and sit there and watch them come in and have fun in the water, which they love to do. With that, we're gonna say goodbye to the ellies for now and have a look at the breeding herd of buffalo just and see what they're gonna be up to. But with that, let's go and see how Brent is doing with the tracking. Cheers for now.
So on our way down to the east towards the Cheetah Plains, we've come across a very, very fresh very beautiful male leopard tracks heading down our eastern boundary. So we're going to follow up on these for now. So I do apologize if my head is hanging off the vehicle from time to time. It is because we're going to try find you the prince of predators. And Jean-Ray is going to be helping. That's why I'm driving slightly off, because the tracks are on his side of the road at the moment. Still there. Now, the one fun thing about following tracks on this particular road, especially when they're that fresh, sort of every little bend in the road, you sort of half expect to see him. Thought I heard a squirrel as well, which would have made it a little bit more exciting. Still there. There's something sort of thrilling about following fresh leopard tracks in the early morning. Gets me a buzz. So while we continue to follow these leopard tracks, Sam has got one of the biggest avian piscivores that we get at Djuma. So let's go have a look.
A saddle-billed stork. This was the greatest encounter I've seen with this bird. I've actually only seen this bird twice, so that we just saw with Ellies. The Ellies were just on the road and the saddle-billed stork got chased away by a trumpeting elephant, and now we managed to find the stork just seconds later in this little watering hole, and you can see that prominent red beak as it looks like it's feeding. I'm not sure what it would be feeding on. It's something I would have to ask Brent or James, but I'm presuming maybe small fish species or crabs. We often find the saddle-billed stork down by the watering holes. It's very interesting to find out what they actually eat. So they get the name saddle-billed stork from that yellow, or what looks like a saddle, at the top of the beak there. But it is one of the biggest storks, or one of the biggest birds that we get out here. Prominent red, black, and white, yellow. We just have a really good view of it now. I never forget when I saw this for the first time. It was on the Sand River by Londolozi. Ooh, there's a beautiful sighting of it again. On the Sand River, and I just saw it from a distance with my binoculars, and I was so in awe of that beak. And here we are sitting with it right next to us. Almost can't even talk, I just want to look at it. Ooh. The size difference between a saddle-billed stork and a marabou. Great question from Joey. I wouldn't know what the difference is, the size difference. I'm presuming that the saddle-billed stork is quite a bit bigger than the marabou stork. But let's have a look in the book and see if there's any suggestion to the size, and then we can clear that up, Joey. I'm just gonna, while you guys have a look at that, I'm just gonna see if I can find it in the book again. Okay, so just here we go. So they're right underneath each other. And here we go. Let's have a look, Joey. So on top is the saddle-billed stork, and beneath is the marabou stork. So they're very, very different birds. They eat on very different things. The marabou stork is mostly a scavenger, feeds on carrion and waste. But it doesn't say anything about the size difference within this. Wait, hold on. At 2.6 meters, it has one of the greatest wingspans of any South African flying bird. I think that might just be our answer. So, Joey, I think it might be the marabou stork that is bigger. Cool. Awesome. So we've seen saddle-billed stork. Hopefully we can see if we can find a marabou stork. But we often find the marabou storks around, kills and that sort of stuff, as we just suggested that it's carrion and meat and scavenging that they normally would find them. So if we can find a sighting today where we can see that, I'll point it out and we can have a look at the marabou stork. Interestingly, marabou storks were often found in markets around the world, where, food markets, where they would sit up on the power lines and sit up on buildings, and they would just look at the meat and often found around people, marabou stork. I've seen it a few times. It's not as beautiful, I think, as a saddle-billed stork, but everything has its own beauty and its own intrinsic beauty. But to my eyes, I think the saddle-billed stork is just one of the most magnificent-looking birds I've ever seen. Still see it now, quite prominently. You often find saddle-billed storks will not be on its own. You often find them in pairs, so potentially there's another saddle-billed stork just around here somewhere. We'll keep our eyes open for it. Wow, but it's been an eventful morning. I just drove out of camp, 500 meters. The next thing we were with a huge buffalo herd, and then some cool elephants that were just playing, and now we're sitting with one of the most beautiful birds in the bush. So it's been a very exciting morning so far. And with this sighting, we're going to go and see if we can have a look at the buffalo herd. But thank you for sharing your presence with us, Mr. Saddle-billed stork. Let's go and see an elephant. I met the breeding herd of buffaloes that are just here. As you guys will notice, I'm wearing a cap now. I'm not wearing my hat, which I was really quite sad to put down and put in my room. It's still sitting there in my room. I look at it, and before I leave, it just gives me a little bit of luck, but it wasn't working so well as, to be on camera, to have this thing here in terms of hearing things. I'm already having a little bit of a problem with my hearing, so to have a big hat covering the sound, it's not such a great idea. But the hat still lives with me, and it's still giving me luck from my room. This is a nice cap to go in its place. What did you think, Brian?
Yeah, it's great.
Thanks. Di is suggesting that where there are buffaloes, there will be lions. Wow, that would be exciting. Imagine that, eh, Di? A morning filled with all these beautiful animals, and then a hunt. But to be honest, Di, it's really difficult to... Ooh, are those buffalo weavers? Yeah. Let's see if we can get a better sight of the buffs. I was suggesting that there could be a lion in amongst these buffalo, but there's always a chance. Of course, a lion will be opportunistic to a young buffalo that has just been newly born, and it will quickly take it. But it's a lot more difficult, as you can imagine, with a huge breeding herd.
There's a lot of eyes. It's very, very, they're going to be very protective of the youngsters. So it's it's a bit of a risk for a lion or a single lion. If a male lion had to come and do that, it would be quite a risk. But if there was a pride of lions and they were following the breeding herd, not while they're sitting here like this, most likely the youngsters will be sitting in the middle of the herd or close to their mothers, so they will have those eyes. But when this breeding herd does manage to get up on its feet and start walking, there's every chance that a pride of lion will follow and take one of the little youngsters down. But look at this golden light that are on the buffalo. One of them's chewing its cud over there. Two over there were chewing their cuds. Those beautiful bosses. And you can see that's a female. You can quite significantly see that is a female. Have a look at its boss. The boss is the horns on top of its head are not as prominent than that of a male. A male has very, very big. Ooh. This one's just got up and had a look at us. Hello. So you can see it again. Hello, Mrs. Yeah. Yeah. It does look like it has a little moustache there. It's got little whiskers to the side of its nose there. But she is a female, so I feel quite rude in saying that. But as I was saying that, you can see that it is a female because it doesn't have that prominent boss that the male has. And the male will have that big horns or boss because it will fight against other male buffaloes, and it needs that protection. And also can be a sign of dominance if buffalo has much bigger horns. But it's fantastic to be sitting with these females and in the breeding herd. Siberia Zumi is asking me what is the biggest buffalo herd that I have encountered in my time. I think the biggest buffalo herd that I've encountered was when I was training. I came across a huge buffalo herd, and that we just parked in the middle, and all of a sudden the whole buffalo herd just came around my vehicle, and there must have been about 150. So they can get up to 200, even more than that. Siberia Zumi, they can get much, much bigger than that. And often, as I said, in those, I'm very, very, I love my birds, and it's a huge opportunity to see a yellow-billed oxpecker. So when I was last with that big breeding herd of buffaloes, I was looking out for that beautiful oxpecker. So maybe today, in this beautiful morning light, I can find a yellow-billed oxpecker. It'll probably take some time as the day warms up to find the oxpeckers coming to eat the parasites off the breeding herd. But let's just have a look at this breeding herd in the morning light. It really is producing a beautiful golden glow in the African savanna. It's really quite easy to track down the buffalo herd. Ooh, is that it? Yes, it's quite easy to track down the buffalo herd because they make quite a mess as they walk through in whatever direction they're going in. So you can imagine they'll defecate and they'll walk over trees and branches, and obviously you'll see their tracks everywhere on the ground. And so tracking the buffalo herd is not a very difficult thing to do. But what's so exciting sometimes is, as we were mentioning earlier about, if there are lions that are interested in a kill, when you find the buffalo herd, especially in the big migratory areas up in, Tanzania or close to Kenya, is you'll see buffaloes moving over great distances, and that's when it's easier for a pride to take down one of the youngsters when they have the opportunities to take down a smaller one. And that would be amazing. Jeepers, I would be very excited if I had the opportunity of seeing that. Wow. Good morning. And you can see they've also got large ears. Most animals we'll find in the bush have got large ears, much bigger than ours. as they need to hear the sound of everything that's going on around them. With kudu and some of the other, bush bucks, ones that like to be in the vegetation, you'll quite clearly see the big ears, and they'll be moving and drifting around, trying to pick up on the slightest sound, and that helps them protect them from any predator that might be around. Also, they'll pick up an alarm call of a bird that's just noticed a predator. So you can see that they have quite big ears. Wow. Jessica on Twitter has just asked me, how long have I been doing this for? Well, I'm pretty much as new as you are, Jessica, to WildEarth. I've just arrived maybe a week and 2 days ago. Before that, I wasn't in the bush. I was actually doing my master's in England, and I was actually living up in the north of Cape Town, this place called the Cedarburg Mountain Range. And so it's actually been about a year and a half since I've been with a breeding herd of elephants or buffaloes or anything like that. So it's really exciting to be back here in the bush. I knew of WildEarth before I came, and I was really excited to be able to have the opportunity to sit in the wilderness and learn more from buffalo and elephants, and not only just from mammals, but also the plant species, the way in which everything survives out here in the beautiful bushveld. It's incredible when you're immersed with such abundance of life, and to understand how it all lives in its context. Something that I'm very, very, very interested in, I guess. But hopefully, Jessica, we can have a few mornings together and we can learn a little bit more about the bush. I'm quite excited to show everyone the things that I love and what I enjoy, and actually just to have experiences. Just because I think that experiencing the natural world, especially together, gives us something in common, and helps us understand more to life and more to how we are connected to this earth and all those little things. And the more that we understand the buffalo herds and the more we understand the lion dynamics, the better we can live in relation to them. One of the biggest problems, I think, is that we don't have a relationship with the natural world at times, and that's what gives us fear. That's why I think that we have a fear of lions or leopards or spiders or snakes, because, hold on, I'm just going to move it a little bit forward. We have a car just here. I reckon it's fine. It's okay, they're just trying to see if they can get a good position, so I'm not in their way. But as I was saying, like sitting here with these beautiful buffaloes and understanding their context will give me a better understanding of the wilderness, but also give all of you a better understanding of how Africa is and how buffaloes are, and in that context, that's how conservation is. That's what conservation is to me. It's just having a direct experience of the natural world and understanding it and not having a fear of it. Because, as I said, to be honest, the buffalo, the lion, the leopard are a lot more scared of us than we are of it. And as soon as we come to understand the relation and the dynamic between humans and the natural world, the better we can live alongside it. Wow. This one's fast asleep, eh? She's been walking way too much. She just feels like a little snooze. She'll have a little snooze. Something's... Jerry, please can you go with that question again? It was something to do with bread and milk. I didn't quite get it. Andy and Julia are asking if they ever get bread and milk from the buffalo, if I understood that correctly. Not that I know that you can get buffalo milk. Have you ever heard of that, Brian?
Maybe. Mozzarella cheese.
Mozzarella cheese comes from a buffalo. That is very interesting. I've never heard of that. So, I think that might be ours. I think we do get some things from buffaloes. milk, I'm not too sure. That's something that I'll research and I'll find out a little bit more, and when we're sitting with some buffaloes, I'll talk about it. But if you know of anything, please hashtag Safari Live and let us know, what do humans actually eat in terms of meat and milk from buffaloes. It'd be fascinating to find out. But there was a little encounter just now to the side of us here with some of the buffalo. I think it was one of the two youngsters that were just playing in the bush. Yeah, it was quite cool to see. Yeah, they look very relaxed now in the morning light. Morning, Paul. Morning. That is one of my favorite lights. So this light that we are seeing right now, I'm sure Brian will agree with me. For a cameraman, it's just beautiful to work with, as well as in the evening when you get that afternoon glow that comes off from the horizon. It used to be my mom's favorite light as well. She used to always comment when we were I live in Cape Town, and we lived close to Table Mountain, and she would often talk about the beautiful light that comes off the sun onto the mountain. And so I always enjoy being in the bush or anywhere when the beautiful morning, afternoon light is, yeah. Heidi is asking, what can we smell? Brian, let's take a deep breath, deep nose in. Well, to be honest, my nose isn't blocked anymore, so I can pretty much just smell, the morning, the good morning fresh air. But you can also smell a little bit of the buffalo, some of the dung of the buffalo, and just the aroma that's coming from the buffalo. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what else can you smell, Brian?
It's just that crispness of the morning.
Yeah, that's the word, Brian. The crispness. I can smell the crispness of the morning. So that's what I can smell, Heidi. But the buffalo seems to be getting up. Ooh. Wow. My thoughts are they'll probably be lying down. They'll probably be resting here for most of the evening. So in the next few hours, they're probably going to slowly get up and make their way grazing. Just carry on eating. Move towards a watering hole where they'll probably have something to drink. And then carry on their merry way. But I'm very grateful that you guys are all here with me this morning to experience my first buffalo herd at WildEarth in the Sabi Sands. That's where we are, everyone. The Sabi Sands is 60,000 hectare privately owned property close to the Kruger National Park. It's the northeastern side of South Africa, and it's somewhere that I feel very at home when I come back to the bush. I mean, I live in Cape Town, born and raised in Cape Town, but there's something about coming back here that makes me feel very at home. Can't really explain why. But just above us, I mean, you can see a number of birds that are flying around. This little swift or swallow that just flew past us. Okay, Sarah in New York has just informed us that the milk that we get is from the water buffalo, not the Cape buffalo. So learning about the Cape buffalo, which is in front of us, we don't actually get any milk from the Cape buffalo. We collect milk from water buffalo, which you'll mainly find up in the northern hemisphere. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. It's good to learn something new every day. That's why I actually love this job. This job is so amazing. My passion is learning more about the intricate understandings of the natural world and how everything is related. And this job allows me to learn from you. So not only am I learning on my own, but I'm learning through you. So please keep #SafariLive, asking questions, noting things. It's great. Thank you. So you can see the buffalo just in front of the screen here, chewing on its cud. Seems so relaxed. Oh. And it'll chew on its cud and then it'll swallow it. The buffaloes are ruminants, so ruminants mean that they have, they chew on cuds and then they swallow, and then it comes back up, and then they, carry on chewing on it. A very, very different system to our system in terms of how they eat. Megan is asking, what are the white marks underneath the buffalo's eyes? I'm just having a look at it now. It could either be from scarring. I think it could be from scarring maybe with other buffaloes as they were growing up into their adulthood. But it could also potentially be maybe a skin, something to do with the skin. You can see the one right behind it actually doesn't have it as prominently as the one in front of us. It'd be interesting to know. Maybe it's like a fungus that caused that, or a skin disease, or potentially some scarring. It could be any of those. Let's see if another buffalo has it. Yeah, so you can significantly see that the buffalo to the left of the screen also has a significant little bit of white underneath the eye. It's very interesting. I'm going to note that in my little book. Write that down and try and understand a little bit better. Oh, you can see just on the buffalo in the background there, you can see the cud that's being chewed from a side angle. So we saw a front angle, and now we're seeing a side angle of the cud being chewed. It seems so relaxing, just sitting in the morning sun, eyes closed, and just chewing on that cud. Ooh. Something happening in the distance there. But with this, I think myself and Brian are going to see if we can find maybe another position where we could have a look at the buffalo. Otherwise, let's just see what's going on with Brent and how his tracking is going of a leopard. We'll see you now, and hopefully we'll have a better view for you with the buffaloes.
So we've lost the leopard tracks at the moment, so our heads are glued to the ground. James is also out in the tracking team. He's checking just off to the sort of south of us at the moment. And the last tracks seem to come into this very large area without, any roads around here. So I'm hoping that animal might have slunk towards the Buffelshoek waterhole. Now, we've been great discussion whether this male leopard has walked all the way south, then turned around and come back on his own tracks. So suddenly there's just tracks going both ways. From what we can see, the tracks heading north are on top of the tracks heading south. I will try find a spot to show you if we head back up that way. So it did take a little bit of detective work, puzzle searching. But I'm very excited as we move into the drier part of the year. In a month or two, these tracks are going to be really nice and easy to see. Sand's going to be much softer. This hard ground that's in front of us now is going to break up with the vehicles, with buffalo, with elephant, making tracking just that little bit easier. Anything your side there, Jean-Andre? That hyena there. Right. Now, the other possibility is it could be Tingana and Gajima trying to follow each other around, or Tingana more likely trying to follow Gajima around. Kyle says, I really hope it's Gajima. Me too, Kyle. I really would love to catch up with that leopard again. Sorry. So we'll now check through here, check every termite mound, check every tree. We're going to be going really slowly. Now that's just going to confuse matters. Now, I can't see, no, this track's been driven over, but there is a track of a male leopard. Very, very difficult one to spot, but there is one here. Now, I'm just going to have a look if it's on top or underneath the last vehicle. Can I look on your side there? Unfortunately, it looks like those tracks are a little bit older. They've been driven over. But now we're just hoping for a nice, clear print on top of last night's game drives. So the older tracks have not a slightly less sharp edge, it's not as defined. Now, that could be from a vehicle driving past, throwing dust, or wind during the day. But this area is a very big area with no roads. And I think Mr. Gajima, when he is on Juma, spends quite a lot of time in here. The anticipation, waiting for hopefully a spot of a leopard rather than the tracks. So as we go through here, we are looking for tracks all the time, but we're also checking termite mounds and any big animal path we might drive past. And also, as it gets drier, there's going to be less greenery, less bush around, enabling us to see a little bit further into the blocks. Now, we often refer to these sections between roads as blocks, but they're by no means a square block. When we say that, it's just referring to an area between roads that doesn't have any roads in it. Look, it's a James rushing off. James, he's going to be on one. So James is off checking down there. We're going to go back up to Cheetah Cut Line, and hopefully we'll be able to show you what I was talking about, how you could see which track was the most fresh by stepping on top. Always pays to double check, even if you don't think the track's going to be there. Quite often these animals will give you a surprise. So what we're going to do is we're going to go see, I'm pretty certain that the tracks that we're heading to the north have continued to the north. So what we're going to do is try and find out where the tracks that we're heading south, where they came from or where they went to, sorry. So here are these tracks, and sorry, I'm being silly. I can see them, but you're not going to be able to. And you can see there's an elephant, but a very woman. Oh, talkative elephants this morning. So here's probably the best example. Elephant's still making noise. Here's the track that is heading north, and there's the track heading south. Now, the back pad here completely covers one of the lower toe and half the back pad of the track heading to the south. I'm just listening to those ellies. Maybe they found a leopard. Well, they're making enough noise that I'm curious enough to go have an investigation. So let's go. So it could be that there's a musk bull chasing after them, trying to chase the females, but it could also mean that they have seen something in the block. So while we speed off to go find out what's up with those ellies, let's jump back on board with Sam.
We are still with the buffalo. And we can see the buffalo just ahead of us. It's actually two of them. Look like one. Two bosses next to each other. Looked quite funny. We just got a comment. Actually, James helped us out with this. You can see that the white stuff underneath the eyes is actually from oxpeckers. So someone actually commented that on our YouTube feed, and they were right. It is the oxpeckers that have helped create that little spot there. And I think that must be because oxpeckers, often ticks are coming towards the eye area there, and so the oxpeckers come and feed on the ticks there. But one of the main reasons that we are sitting here still with the buffalo is that I stupidly left my lights on the vehicle after spotting the elephants and the buffalo after leaving camp early this morning, and my vehicle is no longer starting. So at least it's a great position to be stuck in, because you can actually see what's going to happen with the buffalo. And there's a lot of things actually happening around us. So James is going to be here in the next 20 minutes. And he's going to come and drop a new battery for us, and we can get on our merry way around the reserve and see what else we might be able to find this morning. But while we're here with the buffaloes, let's unpack some of the stories that is going on here and see what else is going on. So we've spoken a little bit about some of the birds that are going on here, but a significant bird that I just saw was a fork-tailed drongo. I saw a fork-tailed drongo, and we can't write that onto our bird list just yet because we have to see it. So until we've seen it together, I'll then write it down on the bird list and we would have got a new bird. But let's talk a little more about the fork-tailed drongo and the influence that it has here in the bush. And it's incredible. It's such a great relationship that they have with elephants and buffaloes. You'll often find the fork-tailed drongo that comes and follows the buffalo and watches all the insects coming off from the back of the feet of the buffalo. As it walks through the grass, it'll catch some of the insects. And so it's a form of symbiosis, a type of commensalism it's called, where one benefits and the other is neither harmed nor benefited. So that is the fork-tailed drongo. And it's incredible once you start to learn a little bit more about how the relationships work in the natural world. In context to this conversation about relationship, I actually wrote my economics paper during my master's at Schumacher College in England on the relationship of the African fig tree to its environment and how a single tree will create such significant outcomes, relationships, and if you just take down the simple workings and the way in which things work within a tree, we can learn a little bit more about how that can be connected to an economy. How could an economy work more like the bushveld? And that's what's so interesting about biomimicry and learning about natural design, is that we can actually sit here with the buffalo, talk a little bit more about the natural designs of the buffalo, but we could also look at the African fig tree and take designs and relationships of the tree and apply it to the way in which we govern ourselves as a human population on this earth. And some of the interesting things that I got from writing that paper was how the tree is having a relationship to not only the giraffe that eats its leaves, but the ant that walks its bark, and the hornbill that sits inside the tree and nests. What bird was that? So I just heard a bird and it just flew past us, so it's gone, but we'll see if we can see that bird a little bit later. It sounded like an oxpecker, to be honest, so I think it was just an oxpecker. But just going back to that whole, the way in which trees are and are in relation to its environment. And as you can see the buffalo here, just trying to bring in the context of what we're seeing is that, even the buffalo will influence a tree and part of the environment. And so sometimes I think within business and governments and way in which things are, we can relate that to which the natural systems are working to that of business. Like if you are a business, let's say in the green economy that's building, I'm going to give my brother's one just because I'm just trying to think of a business. My brother started an organization with a good friend of mine called Michu Taron, about how the business is based on trying to create education around wilderness, and not only wilderness but also how we live in our own lives. So not only planting food but also learning about complexity theory and understanding the way in which the world works. And there's a number of organizations and businesses that run similarly to that. And interestingly, if we have a look at the African fig tree, we can see that the African fig tree has some relationships that it holds dear more than others. So for example, the African fig tree has a specific type of wasp. It's called the fig wasp, which will come and germinate the seed and send the seed of the African fig tree to other parts of the low veld, or to other parts of Africa even. It'll go down the river, the seed pod, and germinate in another part of the river, which is a very, very important relationship, the fig wasp and the fig, because that's what creates the abundance. It helps decentralize the African fig tree. So, if Tom's starting a business and my friends, how can you create business that is aligned with other businesses that help others grow? It's understanding what relationships are more beneficial, and so I hope that the viewers understand that you are understanding this a little bit better. But it's all about understanding how the natural world will understand what's really important for the tree in order for its survival, and know what's not good for it. Like the tree will also know that there are some organisms that are bad for it, and it will be very aware of that, and it will create some sort of resilience to that negative outcome. So, for example, the tree might produce a lot of tannins in the leaves, and this helps reduce the amount of mammals that are eating the leaves. So always the tree is trying to regulate itself from not only the positive attributes that are influencing it, but the negatives. So we can always apply this to a business sense and to other things by just breaking down the way in which the relationships are. So rather than seeing the buffalo as the buffalo, but seeing the buffalo as a part of the ecosystem, and how is it influencing the different types of plant species that are out here? How is it influencing the other type of mammal species that are out here? I think when we start to understand things a little bit more in relation, we can learn a lot more about the individual and the whole. So that was interesting. That was something that I'd like to share with you, just as my vehicle isn't able to move, and it's something that I find fascinating and learning more about is how we can actually connect and understand the relationships of the natural world in our own lives, and for the betterment or the understanding of the world around us. So we're just going back to the sighting of the buffalo as it chews its cud. The daylight is starting to get a little bit warmer. The lights are starting to get a little bit brighter, and hopefully in the next few minutes, the savior, James Hendry, is going to come with a not a brand new battery. It'll be a battery from Wendy, which is the other vehicle, and we'll be able to connect that battery. We can go and see what else we can find. But going back to that, if you have any other questions, please hashtag Safari Live. Deanna's asking a great question. Do the buffaloes like to sit together for warmth or protection? I think that's both. They both helping each other. When it gets very cold in the nighttime, I can imagine the buffaloes will come together, and that body warmth will help create more warmth in the herd. So I definitely think that is a factor. But protection is the number one. I think the protection of the youngsters and the ability to have more eyes around each individual allows for the whole buffalo herd to be safer, and at the end of the day, protect them from the predators that are lurking amongst the bushes around us. So that would be my answer. Jessica, our new viewer who we had a little conversation with a bit earlier, I'm so glad that you're still with us. Do we have an understanding of how much are in this herd? Brian and I wanted to see if we can get the vehicle started, to see if we can track around the breeding, or this big breeding herd, and see if we can have an idea of the amount that are here. At the moment, we can only just see the front end of the herd. So as soon as we back up and running, this buffalo that we're seeing in front of us doesn't look like it's going to move for a while. So she's just lying on her belly. But I'm sure as soon as our battery pack comes, we'll see if we can have a look around. But I'm guessing around 100. There must be around 100. What do you think, Brian? Yeah. Brian gave me a little nod there, and he also agrees that it could be around 100. But as soon as we're up and firing, we'll have a look and see what else is there. So it's going to get a lot hotter today. And when I was on drive last week, we had a lot of cloud cover. So there's quite a bit of rain. So there's much different conditions than it is this morning, and how it's actually going to get a lot hotter today. So you'll probably see that the buffalo herd will get up and try and find a little bit more shade. I think quite a lot of them in shade, but we'll see if they can get some more. Otherwise, they're going to make their way towards a nice big watering hole. But have a look at that female just in the background there, overlooking us. Beautiful animals here, the buffaloes. Oh. Yeah, the horns do look very far apart. Jerry was saying that it is quite interesting to see that the buffalo horns are quite far apart from one another. And I've heard a number of birds as we've been talking now. I'm pretty sure earlier I heard a woodpecker. That would be exciting. We haven't seen a woodpecker yet, so we should add that to the list. But if anyone has any questions around this specific breeding herd of buffaloes, or even some experiences that you guys have had at WildEarth over the last couple of months, around some of the breeding herds that you've encountered, what are some of the numbers that you've seen? Have you seen a breeding herd that's over 100? Please hashtag Safari Live or email us at wildearth.tv. We'd love to hear your experiences and see a little bit more about what you know. Sorry, it's actually questions at wildearth.tv, not just WildEarth TV. If any of my friends are watching from Cape Town, I've told them all to email wildearth.tv. So it's actually questions at wildearth.tv if you have any questions. Thank you, Jerry, for helping me with that. Ooh. There we go. It's been a good morning. Been a good morning. You're starting to see they're getting up and a little bit more active. Deanna just asked a great question on all the dung that is going to be left behind by the breeding herd. Will this be very rich for the soil? Yes, I think that it's basically like fertilizer. So the dung that is left behind from the breeding herd will eventually make its way back to the soil and create a feedback loop back into the soil and provide more nutrients and allow for the plants to grow even better. So yeah, great connection that you've made there, Diana. And that's something so significant about nature, is that there's continuous feedback loops. If you look around you anywhere, from the birds to the flowers to the mammals, there's constantly feedback loop. And feedback is basically trying to... Hold on. James is trying to get hold of me. I'm just going to quickly let him know where I am. Oh, it's ready as well. Jerry, do you copy Jerry? James, if you copy, we are close to the junction where Gowrie Gate is, on Vuyatilla access. So I was just letting James know where we are. So we're not very far from camp. We literally woke up this morning and we came through and we saw the beautiful breeding herd of elephants with the saddle-wheeled stork, and now we're sitting here with the breeding herd. So we're going to link back to Brent now. It's been an incredible morning. Hopefully we'll have a battery by the next time I see you, and we can go off and see if we can find a leopard, a cheetah, anything. I'm excited for the morning to continue, so we'll see you now.
So welcome. Unfortunately, those leopard tracks did a disappearing act to the north. So we've decided, let's throw the dice and see what's happening way down in the southeastern Cheetah Plains. So we've just coming down the Cheetah Plains driveway, as it's called, and we're about to go see what we can find. So instead of rushing straight towards those big open plains, I think we're going to work some of the small river systems and in the western side and see if we can find any leopard tracks, because I think that's the only thing we haven't seen from a cat point of view, or a big cat point of view, on Cheetah Plains so far. Here we go. So we have noticed there's a little dip here through one of those rivers that we sometimes have a bit of signal problems with, so we do apologize if we disappear for a second or two.
Hello everyone. Being out in the bush and being out there live has its technical challenges. We're experiencing some of that now and are working on it as fast as possible to get it sorted and get you back on the vehicle with us.
Sorry about that. At least we sort of knew it was coming, and I'm sure the team are devising some magical plan to make that go away. So I said we normally rush off to the sort of eastern side of Cheetah Plains, but today I think we're going to start off in the west. And there's some lovely, very steep little river systems here. Now, very difficult to get a car in, but obviously, of course, leopards do love those type of areas. So we're just going to have a slow meander through the western sectors before heading towards those wide open spaces. We have nice big Eddie bull tracks and some fresh dung heading in this direction. So the Cheetah Plains Lodge is nestled in one of these little wonderful river systems. So, of course, since we're on Cheetah Plains and we've been seeing quite a lot of cheetah, read on YouTube, how long does it take for a cheetah to digest its food? They're also very fast digesters. They're also very fast. Probably eat quite a bit quicker than a leopard because of the pressure that they're. Oh, this just disappearing African cuckoo. But so seems like there are a few little.
You're live.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here at a battery change. Myself, Kirsty, Brian, James, and the big man, Connor.
This is Connor's world debut, everybody. He doesn't like the camera. He's an engineer, you see.
So
Don't mind us. The buffalo is still relaxed. We're going to try and start the car. Just give it a go. Which is the battery. We will change the battery.
Hello, Kirsty. How's it going, Kirsty?
Good, wonderful.
Great. So we've got a sighting of Kirsty, Connor, and James. Not only that, but buffalo in the background.
The network is just stunning me. Right, Connor, please show them what your 4-year degree in engineering. Everybody, this is what an engineer brings to change a battery. Short of using a screwdriver, there is no tool less efficient than the vice grip for what it's about to be used.
Yeah.
Here is the battery. It's very heavy.
Good job, James.
Thank you, Brian.
Can I help there, James?
No, really, you just sit there and relax.
All right.
Come on, Connor. How's that vice grip going?
Yeah, I've got one down.
You've got one down, everybody. One nut off. One nut on.
I have to thank James and Connor and Kirsty for coming out and waking up their morning to come and fix our batteries for me and Brian.
Would you like to tell us why the battery's flat?
Okay, so I woke up this morning. I was really excited with life and everything else. And I got into my vehicle and I switched my lights on and carried on down, and then we saw elephants and I was exceptionally excited. And then we saw some buffaloes and I got even more excited. And then I switched the vehicle off and talked about everything, and I forgot to switch off my lights. So what happened, James, was that I forgot to switch off my lights, and now we are currently facing some difficulties within the battery department. But then we wouldn't have met Connor, so secretly, it was the right thing to do.
Or Kirsty.
Or Kirsty.
There it is.
Take the camera away.
Directors never get enough airtime.
Yeah.
They need to be shown.
I think
Do
you're
the
gonna have
hand
to hit
scenes.
This is unscripted, everyone.
There we go.
Live. Battery change.
Connor is now hitting. Well done, he's got the battery off. That is well worth your education. Now, let's
Get a degree for that.
which one's positive?
Negative is on the left.
Okay. Fantastic job, everyone.
All right, now I will attempt not to electrocute myself, which is not entirely unlikely. It's only what?
12 volts.
It's only 12 volts, everyone. It'll just make the very small amount of hair I have on my head stand up. Will be unnoticeable. My hat will just lift very slightly like that.
I wonder what the buffalo are thinking.
The buffalo are thinking, what a bunch of absolute idiots. This is not long enough.
Oh, really?
It's okay. There we go.
That there's a lot of audience members saying hello.
Yeah.
What was the question?
There we go.
Who does?
A lot of audience members saying hello to Connor. It's good stuff.
Jasper, he's doing such a
He's
great
an
job.
impressive human being.
Look at that,
Went for a run with him yesterday. He's basically built like a professional triathlete, everyone. He's just electrocuted himself.
What happened there, Connor?
Shorted it to the car.
Yeah, so we just have to see if it works now, right?
All right. I think it's time to give it a try.
Well, that was quite exciting, huh?
Right.
Watching that.
Start in
Let's see if it works.
As I said, guys, this is live, unscripted, in the bush.
No, because it looks edited. I mean, it looks truly professional. All right, let's give it a go.
Well done, everyone. Well done. Team effort.
Glad I could help.
Good job, Kirst.
It was
Overseer.
all me. I did everything.
All right, thank you, James. Thank you, Connor. Thank you, Kirsty.
Is this for fly fishing?
With this beautiful sighting with Connor and team, we are going to link back to Brent and see what's going on with this tracking. We'll see you a little bit later. Cheers for now.
So we're going to stay away from the western sectors for now. So we've headed back into the center of Cheetah Plains, and we're going to go, maybe let's go have a squiz past 3 in a row pan, see if there's any tracks around there, and then move around towards Cheetah Plains pan and go check those wonderful big open areas. Let's stay away from the river systems for now. So James Bear's wondering, are ostriches farmed for their meat and eggs in South Africa as they are in the United States? They most definitely are, James, except strangely enough, there are more ostriches in America than there are in South Africa. So it is quite a funny thing in the great state of Texas. I know there's some incredibly large ostrich farms. John raised a particular fondness for ostrich meat, and he eats it quite frequently. I myself prefer the more fatty meats. Lucy, I was wondering whether ostrich counts on her bird list. It most certainly does, Lucy, and it is the world's largest bird. So definitely it does count on your bird list. So lovely sandy road here, and just fingers crossed we get some nice tracks to follow. Anna Marie says she'd settle for wild dogs if we can't find leopard or cheetah. Anna Marie, you never settle for wild dogs. They take precedence over leopard or cheetah, in my book at least. But well, you never know, fingers crossed. So we are arriving at 3 in a row pan. Let's go have a look if there's been any activity here overnight. So in terms of wild dogs, we're likely to see the same 2 packs that we see everywhere else within our Traverse area. So both the Investec pack and the Sabi Sands pack spend time on cheetah plains. So there we go. We're driving past the first of the 3 pans. And in between to the second. Finally to the third. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's been very busy around the pans overnight. Can't see any fresh tracks. But we do see a pretty little water bird on the far left-hand side there, Jean-Jacques. And just beyond that sort of little rivet that comes in, so to the left slightly. And there we go. A 3-banded plover. See that little white and black band around the head, and it turns to face us. Got 3 little bands across its chest. Now, Jean-Jacques, can you hear that burp, burp, burp off your mic? Sort of. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but there are still some European beaters around, but they're very high in the sky. I can just hear them calling. So they're very, very high, so I don't think we'll keep a lookout. Maybe we'll find some that are still sitting at lower levels before they get moving up. So Errol saying, Brent, would you say wild dogs are the most successful of the large hunters? In terms of hunting, yes. They have depending on the area, around an 80% success rate in animals they chase. Where there is a lion and leopard, they sit around 12%, cheetah a little bit higher, and hyena around the same as cheetah. So out of the actual hunting predators, it's by far the most successful. But they are by no means the dominant predator in the ecosystem. And the only thing that they will generally chase off successfully is going to be a leopard or single hyena, and cheetah. But a big male leopard might give wild dogs, depending on how many, a bit of a go. But if they see lions, they tend to hightail it at serious speed away from them. Lions are the biggest threat to wild dogs, outside of course, range destruction and canine diseases from domestic dogs. So it seems like with James's aid, Sam is now up and running, and he has got one of the few members of the pig family here to show you.
Warthog, everyone. We have warthogs just next to us here. We are up and running. It's been an interesting morning. You know, we've had some incredible sightings, but then we lost the battery, and we then got a great sighting of Connor, James, and Kirsty, which was exciting. So thank you very much to that team to come to our aid and help us get back on our feet. We are now just close to Sydney's dam with these warthogs, and it's just good to be back on the road. So you have the fresh air back in our faces, eh, Brian? It was getting a little bit tiring sitting there, but it was great to sit with the buffalo herd. I haven't been with a big buffalo herd like that for a very long time. But as we can see some warthogs just ahead of us here, and it seems to be like two little piglets and a mother. And you can see their beautiful little tails wagging over there. So hopefully this morning we'll see if we can find a leopard, and you know, leopards really love warthog. I know that, I think on WildEarth TV there's been a sighting of a leopard taking a warthog out of the hole. So that must have been incredible to watch live, and I'm sure there's all possibilities of, that was Tingana, yes. Just been told that was Tingana that took out a warthog on Big Cat Week. That must have been a very special sighting for everyone to have witnessed. But here we are with some warthogs, and there's every chance that a predator could be lurking in amongst these bushes. But to be honest, we'd probably hear the sound, the rickety racket of some birds letting us know that the leopard is close by. But warthogs you'll find often go to and have burrows in big termite mounds, and that is where leopards will often sit on top of a termite mound and sit with the warthog and wait for the warthog to come out and then pounce on a warthog. Or, as in the case of Tingana, will go into the hole and actually take the warthog out of it. So that must have been quite exciting to watch. But they're beautiful animals, warthogs. I mean, beautiful in their own rights, and they obviously provide a very important source of protein out here in the bush for the different predators. But you'll notice that they like to eat little tubes on the floor, and it looks like they're getting on their knees as if they're about to ask someone to marry them when they start eating the food. So you'll often see them on their knees eating the tubes in the ground. But this isn't a very good sighting of the warthogs. They're starting to get out of focus now. So we're going to head on our way. But just quickly, I'm going to show you the tracks of a warthog. So, is this possible? Can you see this, Brian?
Yep.
So, fine. So this is my little ID card for all the different tracks that we might see out here. Brent, Jamie, and James have been really good at helping me ID the different types of bush bucks and all that are out here, just tracks in general, and understanding them. And this little key card has been incredible to look at. And if we can see the top right corner, you can see a warthog. So it's generally around 5 centimeters big. It's rectangular, and it's got a little bit of a triangular shape to it. We'll see if we can find an actual track of that, and we can market against that. But yeah, if you are wanting to go into the bush anytime, get yourself one of these. It's really useful to go out and actually ID the track, but then also to have like a little ruler that helps you measure different size, because often with the Great Acre and the Steenbok, you'll notice that they're very similar tracks, but often the slightest distinction of size will tell you a lot. A Steenbok, something around 0.7 centimeters, and a Great Acre is 1 centimeter. So size can tell you a lot about tracks, and it's really useful if you are coming out into the bush with one of those to understand tracking a little bit better. But with that, we're going to carry on. How nice is it to feel the car moving, eh? Wow, that's the fresh air on my face. The plan is to carry on down the cut line, see if we can find any tracks on the road, and hopefully we can find some line tracks. The Kuhumu Pride were here yesterday and they were close to Sydney's dam, but I've been looking out for tracks to see if they've moved anyway, and I haven't seen any yet. But as soon as I find some tracks, we're going to follow them and see if we can find them Kuhumu Pride. How's it, brother? Good to hear from you. Machu, how's it going, my friend? It's great to hear from you. Machu is one of my best friends that lives in Cape Town. Thank you for following Safari Live this morning. I feel very close to you, even though I'm so far away from you here in the bush. Machu asked me what was my first animal that I ever fell in love with. Wow, it's a very good question, Machu. I'd have to go back to the squirrel that we used to have at our house in Cape Town. Maddie, we used to have a squirrel at our house. His name was Monty. He was a very positive squirrel. He often used to come and play on Tom and me at home. Tom is my twin brother at home, and he used to run around with our bodies and all that sort of stuff. And he was the first animal that I really came to love. That wasn't a pet, that my dad found him outside on the grass, and then we raised it and we used to feed it some milk. So that was the first animal I think I ever loved, Maddie. But I'd love to know what yours was. If you want to, you can hashtag Safari Live or send an email to questions at Safari Live. Questions at wildearth.tv. That's the one. Maddie, I'm so glad that you're out here on my drive in the bush. It feels so cool to know that I've got some friends in Cape Town that are following my journey here. But if anyone's interested, we're going to try and see what we can find on this cut line. We're going to see if we can find some tracks. Hopefully we can find some, as I said, the line pride that I just said earlier. But there's all the possibility in the world that we might be able to find some leopard tracks. And I've seen Tingana, and I've seen probably the best sighting of my life of leopard cubs. I've never seen leopard cubs. And Brent and I went out the other day. I think it was on Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and we went out and we went looking for the cubs, and we got out the vehicle and we walked for maybe just 100 meters, and we came across probably the best sighting. Brent grabbed me by the arm, and then he said, just have a look in the distance there, and I saw running off into the distance, and then the two cubs just popped their head out of the ground, and the sun was just behind them, so I could just see their visual, and I just fell in love straight away with those two beautiful looking leopard cubs. And I'm so grateful. I know that many people around the world don't get an opportunity like that, and to spend time with such incredible animals is just such a privilege. So I'm very, very lucky. So I've seen leopard cubs. head towards the drainage line, because not only the drainage lines it's easier to find a leopard, but there's also a good chance that we'll find some of the secretive animals like the nyala and kudu. And that would also be incredible to have a look at a nyala and kudu this morning. We've had a great morning of looking at the buffalo herds and the elephants, and just to see some of those beautiful spiral horn animals would also be great. But with that, let's go and have a look and see what Brent's up to, and we'll see you just for now.
So we've moved towards the east. The Kruger National Park is right there. And we're just having a quick look around some of these open areas. We're going to be zigzagging through, checking for tracks or any interesting trees or flowers or animals. Of course, the flies are out in full force. I think those are quite old, but there are some cheetah tracks here. But I think they are, yes, they're quite old. You can see them there, Chandra. Let's go off a little bit. Oh, they're in the shade. Let me just hit the one up in the sun there. There we go. Very old. You can see the edges aren't very defined, but a cheetah track probably from yesterday. The ones you would have seen with James or Jamie. So, James Hendry's old hat would like to know, well, with all the wildflowers, we're seeing quite a lot of butterflies, but we're not really seeing any wasps or bees. Are they still around? They are, but without the bushwalk camera at the moment, it's quite difficult to see them. They're very small and they move very quickly. So they are around, but we're just very difficult to capture them from a vehicle. Oh, I like this. A road that hasn't been driven in a while. Blank canvas for us to look at. Very blank canvas at the moment. This is a really cool little patch of relatively open woodland. Okay, there's a very interesting little thing happening in the road there that I want to have a look at quickly. It looks like a drag mark. Now, sometimes the elephants can confuse you. By dragging a stick around a bit, so I just need to look quite carefully. Now there's quite a lot of other animals' tracks over it, so it's not really fresh. Just want to see. No, it is the elephant being naughty, making me get out of the car for a stick drag across the road. So Megan is wondering, are there any tree species or flower species that prefer the open areas to the thicker crests like we're on here? There are a few. Unfortunately, we've just passed through an area where the soil actually goes red, and you can see a lot more acacia species. But we will definitely be moving back through that area again. So I had a report of Nkanyini and her cubs that were probably about 1 kilometer to the north of where we've just been. But unfortunately, it looks like they went straight into the Kruger and they didn't come down towards here. But definitely worth having a look. So Nkanyini is a female leopard that holds territory mostly in the Kruger National Park, but comes into Cheetah Plains in Coral and Torchwood. So she's got 2 cubs of about 3.5, 4 months at the moment. Okay, we're about to come through this little crest area, and there's some nice thickets and some bigger trees, and we should be almost out through into another big open sodic area. Siberia is wondering, are there crocodiles in any of the water holes here? Siberia, the one thing you can be certain about crocodiles is they could be anywhere. So the only way not to be bitten by a crocodile is assume all water holes have a crocodile. But I have not seen any sign of them. That doesn't mean they might move to and from the different water holes. And they are capable of moving many kilometers between water holes. But I would probably guess currently the water holes here are not that deep. I'd probably say no at the moment. So we're leaving the Kruger behind us, and now we're heading back towards the west. There's some wildebeest tracks so far. And let's sneak onto the open plain in silence as we freewheel down the slight incline. Now, we don't often get to glass an area. Now, when those of you who don't know what glassing an area is, it means we'll stop on an edge and we'll take out our binoculars and check very carefully over a big open area like this, because you never know what might be on it. Let's get to a spot where we maximize the amount we can see around us. This looks good. Oh, maybe a little bit further. And out come the binoculars. And just slowly check. And you're looking for that slight thing that looks a little bit different. A slight sort of shape that doesn't quite fit. So quite often there are sticks that look like possible predators or other things. But they're still always worth a proper check. Always double check around the termite mounds.
Wildebeest.
Jean-Andre has seen a wildebeest. He's obviously glassing faster than I am. So far, all I've seen is a yellow-billed hornbill. Oh, there's an interesting thing, Jean-Andre. The bird of prey. And it's quite far away. We'll try to get a little bit closer. But very, very orangish. I think I need, even with my binoculars, I think I need to be a bit closer. If I had to hesitate to guess at this distance, probably a pale morph tawny eagle. Lots of starlings and hornbills sunning themselves. I'm not even sure where Jean-Andre saw that wildebeest. Behind a bush for me. Let's move a bit forward, see if we can get a bit closer to that big bird of prey. So Christy is wondering how many water holes are there in Cheetah Plains. Christy, there are quite a few, but a lot of them are seasonal. So there are pans that will dry up, but I think permanent water holes, there are 4. Well, 3 of them are basically 1 3-in-a-row pan, and then 1 in front of the Cheetah Plains Lodge. But there's a lot of seasonal pans, like this one off to the left here, that will dry up. There we go, there's that bird of prey behind again. No, he's quite far away. I'm quite certain it is. Maybe not. Let me get my binos out onto him. Yeah, a pale morph tawny eagle. Always pays to listen for a little bit. Now let's find that wildebeest. The wildebeest bull who's defending this area from other wildebeest bulls waiting for the ladies to come visit. And he was around here somewhere. Where did he disappear to? Behind that bush, I think. Oh, he's found a good shady spot to rest up in. Nice big adult. You can see the lovely little hibiscus flower in front of him. He looks quite content to chew the cud. There's no defending of the realm to be done today. And no ladies to chase. Just checking again around on the edge of the tree line, see if there's anything sleeping there. No such luck. I think let's head back towards another one of those pans, those seasonal pans. And this particular one is called Cheetah Plains Pan. So it definitely brings a different dimension to Safari Live, having access to these incredible open areas. And it's going to be one of those funny ones where sometimes it's going to be a really productive area, but other times it's going to be very quiet like it is this morning. But it is still just beautiful. And while we go in search of something with a heartbeat, it seems like Sam has already found one.
A female kudu, everyone. Beautiful antelope. You can tell it's a female because it doesn't have those horns like the male does. Has a huge spiraled horns. Definitely one of my favorite antelope out here in the bushveld. And as I said a little bit earlier, we were going to try and go towards the more watery and close to the thickets, and that's exactly where we would find animals such as the kudu and the nyala. Here it is grazing in the thickets here, and you can see the stripings on its. As you can see the stripes just in between the trees there. That's what really helps it get its disguise that it needs in order to survive out here in the bushveld. The bushveld being, you know, thick vegetation, woodland, and it helps it, you know, disruptive and camouflage with those white stripes on its back. So Brian's got a beautiful angle here, giving the exact kind of feel for what it's like to be a kudu out here, finding the thick vegetation. And you'll often find that the youngsters are going to be with the females, and they move together, and they won't move too far away from each other. But they have those really large ears, and those ears are so important for them to be able to hear everything that's going on. I can imagine that they can hear exactly what I'm saying, not that they could understand it, but they can pick up on every slight sound, from the rustle of a leaf underneath the predator's foot to the crack of a twig by the elephant. Very aware, very acutely aware of its environment. Imagine being that aware of everything around you. What a different world we would live in if we had to listen for every sound. Such magnificently beautiful animals. As you can see, it's browsing. Kudus are browsers, so they'll eat. Browsers means they eat the leaves of trees. Grazers means that they eat the grasses. As we saw, you'll often see elephants that will even graze on grasses and also browse. We saw that this morning with the sighting. Those earlies. See if we can just get another shot and see how many kudus are actually here. I'm going to drift slowly around this corner so that I don't give them too much of a fright. One, I can see two of them. Could just be the pair of them. Just slowly drift around. Oh, look how magnificently beautiful that youngster is. And there's eating what it seems to be a combretum. And the youngster's eating what looks to be an acacia, which is the one with big thorns. The acacia trees are the trees that have big thorns. I'm able to see from here if that is an acacia. So the other antelope that is very similar, not similar in the sense that they look similar, but you'll often find them close together in the same sort of areas as the Nyala. Nyala's, difference between a male and a female Nyala is very significant. Their sexual dimorphism is significant. You can tell the difference. The male looks like he's got a big brown, well, not brown, darkish brown jacket on. The female looks completely opposite to that. I love watching male Nyalas come display dominance with each other. It's really exciting. Hopefully, if we see a Nyala later, we can see maybe some sort of behavior from a Nyala where they stick up the hair on top of the back of their backs. These kudu are going to slowly browse their way through the bushes, and they might just head towards where we're going now, which is the watering hole, Buffalo's Hook watering hole, where they might just go and get something to drink. But it's still quite early on in the day, so that they're potentially going to graze or browse here for a little bit longer, and then as the day begins to heat up, they'll come into the watering hole and have something to drink. And what was really interesting is, if you were on drive with me last week, we would have seen a number of different antelopes that were moving towards. We saw a number of different antelopes that were moving towards the open areas because of the wind. The wind got really strong, and so we saw zebra and kudus and impala. So a lot of the plains game were coming together and just being the ears and being the eyes of the bushveld to try and protect them from some of the predators that are out there. We have an elephant, everyone. Wow. Isn't that exciting? See how incredible it is, guys. When you just sit and you relax with one animal and get to know it a bit better, you can start to see the whole world that revolves around it. And an elephant might just walk into picture. So what it seems to have seems to be a very big male here. Wow. So we told the difference between the male and the female. The female has quite an angular head. And what we can see here, it looks like, it looks more of a dome-like. So that's often the difference between the female and the male, is that the male has a dome and the female has the angular head. But that was so awesome. Wow. And what's remarkable is, I was saying a little bit earlier that you can really hear the sound of an elephant coming through the bushveld as it breaks the twigs and moves. It makes quite a noise when you come through, but I hardly heard that elephant coming through. So, you really have to pay attention out here in the bushveld to hear all the different things that are going on, and particularly because my ear is still going through a little bit of, adaptation to this environment in terms of having this in my ear. I've got to be very aware of everything that's around me, and having a cameraman such as Brian behind me helping me with that is fantastic. But that was a great sighting of the female kudu and the elephant that came through here. But we're just going to see what Brent's up to, and we'll see just now. Hopefully we'll be down by Buffalo's Hook Dam. See you now.
Here we go. Look at that. Isn't that absolutely stunning? And it's one thing we're finding now after these colder mornings, that the birds of prey getting going a little bit later, and we can see them searching for that warm air rising off the earth. And it's difficult to believe that we were under a huge blanket of cloud at the beginning of this morning's sunrise safari, and now look at this. There is literally not a cloud in the sky. Oh, I stand corrected. There's one very small fluff ball of a cloud in the sky that I can see, and you can barely make it out over there. One tiny little cloud. Jandre can't even see it. There we go. Now he's spotted it. I mean, it's barely discernible as a cloud. Yes. So we've moved through to another one of these big open areas, and we're going to have a quick look around the Cheetah Plains pad. And from there, we're going to go explore some roads we haven't driven before that are away from the open areas and up on the crests. No, it is a piece of ground. Unfortunately, just looked like it might be something a little more interesting for a second there. Now, we did get quite a nice little water bird at this pan last time I was here, the wood sandpiper. So I wonder if it's still around. Look, see if there's any little water birds here. Can't see any. Now, Ak was wondering, are any of these water holes deep enough to hold hippo? Not permanently. If anything, it'll be very similar to when we had that very dry spell, and the hippo will start moving into these little pans like this just because there's nowhere else to go. What have I done with my map? Of course, I've misplaced it somewhere. Oh, dear. We'll just have to guess, Jean-Andre. Pretty sure this is it. Yes, Jean-Andre wants to go this way, and so we are going this way. I'm pretty sure... Ah, there we go. Is this Owl's Nest Road? It is. Now, Owl's Nest Pipeline, from chatting to Ephraim, is the area where they sometimes find Shivambalan. So maybe we'll find a set of male leopard tracks here. It doesn't look like anyone's been here yet this morning. And I always love a nice, clean road to follow up on tracks. It is an absolutely stunning, I want to say late summer, but I'm thinking it's almost feeling like early winter. Winter's morning, and we're starting bundled up, but the joy about Lowveld, the South African Lowveld in the winter, is that even though it is cold when you start, by the end of the safari, it's nice and toasty, and most days we'll get up to about 30 degrees Celsius during the winter months. It's very seldom that it doesn't get that high during the day. So a very pleasant climate during the winter compared to other places. And although we're quite spoilt with our warm weather in southern Africa, there are places that get very cold and they're just a little bit higher. Now, and a few people amongst our crew might disagree with me, but I think possibly one of the worst places to be during the African winter is Cape Town. A howling gale and rain. See, there we go, Jean-Andre shaking his head. It is absolutely miserable, and that wind, it just goes straight through you. I'd much rather be here in the glorious sunshine. Another place that's quite unpleasant during the winter is Johannesburg. Being very high, very cold there as well. Oh dear, we have choices. So we have a choice, and we're going to figure out which way to go now. Do we go left down Pipeline, or do we go right and continue on Owl's Nest? While we debate which way we should go, Sam has arrived at a waterhole that is deep enough to hold a hippo. Let's go have a look.
Guys, here we are at Buffelshoek with a beautiful looking male giraffe. Just down to the right of us is a buffalo herd who's just been sitting in the water. It's all happening down here at the watering hole. It's been an exciting morning, I must tell you. I'm hoping that the giraffe will come down to have a drink, but let's just watch this buffalo herd as it moves out of the water. So we've seen two different herds this morning. Wow. One herd was on Vuyatila Access, which is just close to camp, and now we are at the Buffelshoek Dam, which is close to the Cheetah Cut line. And here we are with this huge buffalo herd who's just been swimming in this water. Wow, that was exciting, eh? So when we arrived here, they were just sitting in the water, and all like, hey Brian, it just happened all of a sudden. They just started moving, and I wonder if that had anything to do with the giraffe. I don't think so. But as soon as the giraffe came, the buffaloes got up and started walking out. And if you have a look, ooh, what are we having a look? There he is. Hello, Mr. Giraffe. It sounds that this is a beautiful male giraffe with those ossicles that have been rubbed down over some time. That's from fighting with other males. So hopefully the giraffe will come back down. But if we just go and have a look at these buffaloes, it's interesting to see how they're all actually looking. They're all looking now at the giraffe and just kind of trying to figure out what was going on over there. Ball. So they're all just looking around them. They're probably, I don't know if they're going to be done yet, but they all look like they had a good time. And they're probably going to head off back, start grazing and out in the veld again. But this is great. It's one of the first times, it is the first time that I've seen quite a large buffalo herd in a watering hole at once, and it's cool to watch them all run through there. Can you guys hear that? You can see a whole bunch of dust. Wow, guys. It looks like there's some, there could be two males just having little fights just above there. You can see the dust is going everywhere. I wonder what's going on. They must be having, yeah, it must be, oof. You can see what is going on there. It's a proper fight, everyone. Jeepers, what? Did you hear the sound of that? That was the sound of a boss hitting another boss. Wow. So you could actually hear the sound of that boss hitting the other boss. I'm gonna keep it down just so that you can hear more. Wow. All I can hear is the sound of a boss hitting another boss and dust flying in the air. Jeepers. There's definitely got, I wonder if it's like anger, or if it could be they're just fighting, and because often you'll find young males will do this just to build up stamina, to build up strength. They'll play with each other to build up their strength. Wow. It's interesting to be watching from a distance. Every now and then you can see a horn. It's just dust flying everywhere. This is a spectacular sighting, everyone. It's been a spectacular sighting, everyone. It's the first time I've... Wow, that sound is... It's interesting watching the other ones. They're just peering into the fight that's happening. It's almost like a little Barney getting a little bit angry. That sound is so loud. Sarah's asking if from Ohio. Incredible to hear that someone from Ohio is watching this amazing sighting with us here in the Sabi Sands. Sarah's asking if ooh. Sorry, I just want to keep it down for a second because there's some interesting sounds that are coming out of here. Alright, Sarah. You were asking if I've ever noticed deformed horns on a buffalo. I must say I have never seen, really badly deformed horns. I've seen one with one backwards, so I guess that is deformed. But I've never seen one really, really bad. Have you seen one, Sarah? Hashtag Safari Live. If you have a picture of it, we'd love to see the picture of the deformed buffalo horn. But that was just such an unreal sighting. It looks like the two males have just walked off now. Now we're just sitting with this buffalo here drinking. See, the oxpeckers are coming to eat some of the ticks now, and I want to get something to drink before it probably goes off and grazes. There's some other buffs that are coming back down to the watering hole on the other side. I've got a feeling that the buffaloes just will come back into the water in a couple of minutes. They've just got maybe a little fright from the big giraffe that just came in. They were all just having a look. But it could have also just been us that was here. They got their mouths, but they're looking a lot more comfortable now. Watch this one coming into the water. Just in front of it, you can see... Oh, wow. Sorry, I couldn't see that well enough on the camera. You can see two little terrapins on top of the hippo there. That is so cool, guys. We've got a buffalo in the distance with a small little terrapin and a big terrapin on top of the hippo. How cool is that, guys? That's so cool. Wow. Great shot there, Brian. Wow, it's been a fascinating morning. Have a look at that little baby terrapin next to it. Well, it might be its mother out there. There's another buffalo that's just coming past. We're just in front of a balanites tree. They've just walked past the balanites, which is right in front of us. Oof, so cool to watch them come into the water. Fantastic sightings of buffalo. I feel like I've learned so much about them this morning. It's a female, you can tell with the others just beneath it. Yeah, it looks like they're all getting a little bit comfortable now. They're all dispersing themselves around Buffel's Hook. Miss Beaver Tack just asked a fascinating question on how long do buffaloes live. Let's have a look over here. I'm guessing close to 40 to 60 years. And let's have a look at the Buffalo 202. Here's our buffalo. So we're just going to have a look here. Ooh, 18 to 20 years. 18 to 20 years is the update that I got. That is how long a buffalo will live for. Cheapers, I got that completely wrong. I thought they would have lived for a bit longer. Elephants can live quite long. They can live up to 40 to 60 years. So I was presuming that they're quite similar, but what's interesting, it's just 18 to 20 years for the buffalo. That's very, very interesting. Thanks for raising that question. Ooh, what is that over there? Little hornbill, everyone. We've got that onto our bird list already. With the red-billed hornbill. I can't tell from this distance if that's a yellow bill. Can you, Brian?
I think it's a red.
It's a red. But you can hear that sound. That is the exact sound that's coming from a hornbill. Jeepers, there's so much going on at Buffelshoek. Hornbills, buffaloes, terrapins on top of hippos. We're just getting a little, what do you call it when a ferry? Do you call it a ferry? Yeah. When it crosses a river. So the terrapins are catching a ferry over the hippo, maybe across the river. But that's a beautiful shot of that hornbill. Brian, well, great shot. In that dead knobthorn tree. Wow. So the buffaloes are starting to disperse along the banks here. We've got 3 just in front of us here, next to the Ballanati's tree. Grant on Twitter just made a very interesting comment that if I was a lion, I would just camp by that watering hole. Yeah, fair point, Grant. I quite agree with you. But you know, it's a lot more difficult than that. You know, lions have to look after their territories. Ooh, the giraffe's back. Can you get a shot of the giraffe there? It's just behind the Ballanati's tree. Hopefully the giraffe will... Oh, not hopefully. I'm just going to move. So the giraffe is back. Wow, guys. It's just so much going on here. But let's just quickly look at this giraffe. You can see he's having a good morning snack. What he's going to do there is he's going to wrap his long tongue around the leaf. If you notice, if you can see from there, that their tongues are actually very black, very dark looking. And the reason why they're like this is because their blood vessels are much deeper in the tongue, so that when they wrap their tongue around the acacia, which is very thorny, ooh, there's beautiful birds flying here. When they're very thorny, it will actually allows them not to bleed. But just above us here, guys, we've got a new bird for the list. It's a hashtag Safari Live. What do you think this is, everyone? It's a beautiful bird that has a very prominent red beak, and it's actually got something to do. One little hint, it's got something to do with the type of animal that's actually at the watering hole. It's the bird species. It's part of the little 5, if I'm incorrect. Is that right? Thank you, Brian. So that is a red... Oh, sorry. Hold on. I nearly said it. It's got a red ball. And so buffalo weavers are incredible birds. They... As you'll see, maybe you'll see a twig in one of their beaks. They'll fly out, collect some twigs, and they come back and they create these magnificent looking nests, and it's almost like they create a number of different homes. So the male will build a number of homes and will nest itself in there, and it'll just be like a big block of apartments, all the different females that come into it. So it's almost like, if I can say, it's like so it's a big mansion with one male and many females, which would be a place I would like to live. Joking. I will like to live with everyone. So that man, guys, it's been a fantastic sighting here with the buffalo weaver. Sorry, I've actually just said it now. So it's called we just watched it pick up a piece of twig, and it's living in a Balanites tree. So there's a number of different nests here. The red-billed buffalo weaver, the buffalo in the watering hole, hippo, terrapin, buffaloes fighting, giraffe eating, and hopefully, just to end off this beautiful story here at Buffelshoek Dam, hopefully the giraffe is going to come down and have something to drink and show us a beautiful, a spectacle that you don't often see, is how does a giraffe drink its water. Fascinating. Opens its legs wide open and has to reach all the way down there, takes a sip and then whips it back up its head. As you can imagine how much blood is flowing all the way to the bottom of its head. And I'm not sure if I've mentioned it, but you can quite clearly see that it's a male, not only because of its darker complexion compared to the female, but also because of the ossicles that are on top of its head. You'll find with males, the ossicles are a lot more run down in terms of there's no fur on top of the ossicle. And this is because they've been fighting with other males. So you would tell this is a solitary male that's been fighting, and that's why it has very, very bare ossicles. But I had a fantastic, I think I was with Brian the other morning. We were watching, I was with Chandra, I think. We were watching a male giraffe getting very interested in a female. That was quite an interesting sight to watch. So if we look closely on the giraffe, we can notice that there's a skin patch. That little patch, and that, if I'm mistaken, it's a type of almost like a fungus that grows. It grows over time. It's like I'm not quite sure what the name of it is. If anyone remembers what the name of that patch is on the giraffe, on the neck of the giraffe there, please hashtag Safari Live, tweet us in, or send us an email and just describe what is that patch that we are noticing on the giraffe there, and what is it caused from. Yo, it's getting very hot out here this morning. I'll take off my jersey. So the temperature now is around 22 degrees Celsius and 72 Fahrenheit. So that's what we're dealing with at the moment. It's probably only going to get hotter as the day progresses. And I'm sure these buffaloes will be coming down to the water more and more. There's a whole huge breeding herd on the other side, as we saw this morning. They're probably going to make their way through to the watering hole, just as the breeding herd has done so. Buffelshoek. This is going to be a very hot day today, I presume. And I can feel, I say, I'm sweating. Oh. So we can tell the big difference between the male and the female giraffe. We've understood them a little bit better now. Hopefully on the drive home, we can meet up with a with a female, and we can just have a look at the difference between them, the two of them, and just see how significantly different the coloration is from a male to a female. But have a look at this. This buffalo is actually walking over the watering hole wall, dam wall, on its way to the giraffe to say hello, maybe. Jeepers, I'm quite exhausted from everything that we've seen here at the buffalo, sorry, not the Buffelshoek Dam. No. Exhausted in the sense that it's just been highly exciting. I mean, while I'm sitting here, I might as well write in my little blue book that we saw the red-billed buffalo weaver. Oh, the buffalo takes a little meander down. Oh, there's two of them now. They're both walking across the normal. Red-billed buffalo weaver. Awesome. Here comes the giraffe. Looks like it's taking a few steps down towards the watering hole. Slowly but surely, it's going to come and have a little sip of water in this morning heat. Guys, if he goes... No, he is walking quite stiffly. It looks like he's walking quite stiffly, everyone. He's just getting into a groove, I reckon. He knows he's going to get some water. He's getting in that groove. If he goes, he gets some water. We've had the best morning that I've had on Safari Live so far. Will you do us that favor, beautiful male? Next to... Oh, it's so great when you get a shot of two animals in one shot. Great camera work by Brian. You can screenshot this, everyone, if you can. It's a beautiful shot of an iconic giraffe by a watering hole with a hippo just in front of it, where you can just see the tops of it. You can see the eyes coming out from the top of the hippo there. I think that it's just a matter of time. The giraffe is going to have something to drink. I think he's just having a little suss of the watering hole, seeing if there's any predators anywhere. He knows, you know what he knows? I think he knows that there's quite a few eyes that are on the lookout, so he's feeling a little bit safe. So he's saying, this is my opportunity. I'm going to get some water now. I'm going to spread my legs open. So see if Sam's watching. Sam and Brian are watching. That's good. And just going to have another look around. Let's go. Hold on. It's quite far. Right. Guys, if you're watching, this is going to be fantastic. Oof. We're going to be patient, don't worry. Have another look. Okay. Spread those legs. And I want you guys to please take notice of how, when the giraffe does eventually drink, how it goes down and how it whips its head back up. Here we go. As a drink. 1, 2, 3, and watch the spray come out. Whoa. Not as much as the spray as I thought there would be, but that was still an incredible little drink. How many of you guys watched the giraffe drink? That was fantastic. But I think he's going to go down for a second sip. He's not done yet. It's a fantastic morning. I can hear the beautiful sound of the orange-breasted bushshrike. Beautiful. spreading. He's going down for the second one. Yo, all that blood. He's having a sip. Oof, this is incredible. Oh man, this is amazing. He's drinking, getting all that beauty. Yo, go boy. Oh, he's having a good gulp. He knows the buffaloes are watching out for him. He knows he's protected. There's no crocs that he's seen. Ooh, good little drink. That's fantastic. That might just satisfy his day. Guys, this is such a great morning, eh? Very, 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 very privileged to have watched a giraffe drinking at the watering hole. Anna Marie, James Richard, and many others are sitting here watching us, and watching this giraffe drink some water out of the watering hole. And they're saying that it always looks quite awkward. Yes, I think it does look quite awkward there. It really is quite an awkward one. Just as, I mean, look how long their neck is, and how long their legs are. It's such a distance for them just to drink some water, you know. I appreciate when you could just bend your head down to the tap and drink some water. These guys have to make quite a distance down to get some water, so it's definitely quite an awkward situation for them. But guys, this is just such an incredible time. There's so much happening. I mean, I've never even sat with buffalo weavers like this. And, you know, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them in the nest here. And if the giraffe starts drinking again, we'll go straight back. But look at all these buffalo weavers. Quite prominent to see that red bull now. There's the red bull. Beautiful. And it builds that nest just by going and fetching some twigs and then coming back and putting it into the nest. I don't know if you can hear that sound. That's the orange-breasted bushrat. Hopefully the giraffe will go down for one more drink and show us one of those, just one more awkward drink. But I'm going to put the book here just so that we don't lose picture of the giraffe. And if you can have a look, that's the red-billed buffalo weaver. A very significant red bill over there. You can see the white little things at the back there. And it's quite interesting. It goes, look at it, look at it. That's the name of the call. That's what it sounds like. I don't know if you guys managed to, maybe we hear them call, but that's apparently what it sounds like. So the giraffe has just moved off now. Wow. So that was a great sighting of the giraffe. We saw the giraffe coming towards the watering hole, make its way around the watering hole, and then have something to eat at the tree, and then come down and have something to drink. And now it will most likely be off on its merry way to find some more browsing material and to get some sustenance for this hot day ahead of it. We've seen some buffalo weavers, and we've understood that they have an interesting social structure of male and many females, which he'll look after those nests, and that's his duty for the day, is to protect and carry on building those nests. We've seen buffaloes walking on top of the dam walls, and we've seen buffaloes fighting and clashing at each other, which was fantastic, Brian? Have you seen that before?
Not that intense.
Not that intense. That's another new sighting for Brian. And so with that, I'm going to slowly move in this direction to see if we can see something else. It's been an incredible morning. Even if we just see something very small, it'll be okay. Cheers for now, breeding herd of buffaloes. Wow. I've thoroughly enjoyed this morning. It's been great to be back on drive with you all. The bird list is getting up slowly but surely, but the mammals have also been incredible. So we've got here, look at this beautiful dead knobthorn tree here. I just wanted to show that to you. I just think it's just such a beautiful image, and you can really see, when you're looking at dead, I'll switch off the vehicle quickly. When you're looking at dead trees, you can really see a lot. You can see the way in which the dendritic, and you can see the way in which the bark grows, and you can see a lot to the internal structure of a tree when you have a look at it. And what we're looking at here now is like the bark, and beneath that was where the cambium layer was, and the cambium layer is a very important part of the tree as it provides all the nutrients for the tree, and that's how the water is able to move slowly and bring it all the way to the very top of that tree. But also a very significant thing that you can see within the tree is what's called Murray's Law. Murray's Law is understanding the way in which water flows. It's almost like if you have a look at the way, the structure of it, how it bends off in different directions. So if you have a look at a delta, try to think of a delta, the way in which it goes down and then it spreads in two, and then those two will go down and spread in two. And it's very similar to that of a tree. It's always coming, it's almost, I'm going to try and draw it for you if that's okay. This is like almost what a delta looks like. It comes down and then it spreads in two, and then I'm going to try and make this stable. And it'll spread in two like that, and it'll spread in two like that, and two like that, and two like that. So that's just the way in which water flows. It's like the most efficient, resistance, less resistance, best path for water to travel. And you can find that kind of structure within many different things in nature, not only from a tree, the way in which a tree is structured to capture the sunlight and capture the different things that it needs to sustain it in its life, but you can see it within leaves. Look at next time you're in your garden, go and have a look around and just have a look and see what it's like out there. But, take a piece of leaf and look at all that dendritic flow and the Murray's Law that's in it. But with that, we'll have more conversations around those things later. It's been a fantastic morning. Thank you, everyone who's been involved. It's been great to be back on the road. Brian, thank you so much for your camera work. It's been fantastic. The ladies behind the directors back at FC, thank you so much, Jerry. You've been really amazing behind the camera. And I just want to say thank you to James and Connor and everyone that helped us with our vehicle start a bit earlier. I hope that you guys all have a fantastic day, and we'll chat to you soon. All the very best.
So, we have literally scoured the entire Cheetah Plains without seeing a big cat track. But that's the way it goes. Oh, I lie, we saw an old cheetah track. But it was still nice to explore this area, and it has turned into such a beautiful morning. So I've been pleasantly warming up, basking like a plated lizard in the sun as we've moved around. And we're now sitting at the Djuma waterhole, which can confuse some, but this is the original Djuma waterhole. And we're going to have a last look at it, and we will see you for the sunset safari.